12 All-Americans last year.
The school told them the team was cut to save money, but get this team is self-sufficient. They raise enough money to pay for themselves. They even offered to help pay for some women's teams.
Proposed helping to fund women's lacrosse and women's gymnastics.
But that wasn't enough.
All right, yeah, much better.
That's something that also shocked Cal's gymnastics coach.
I asked the athletic director if I handed her a check right now for millions of dollars, would we be reinstated, and she just said no.
No? Why? Because under Title IX, even if the athletes raise their own money and pay for a team themselves, it doesn't matter. The head counts must be even.
I think we get the short end of the stick.
These schools are competing for students. If there's demand, they'll give it to them. When the culture changed, 1 million girls' soccer teams appeared. It'll happen if there's demand. We don't need you lawyer tyrants.
Any way that you can measure it, women are behind.
Men and women are different.
Well, no, really. They may have different interests in different sports. They may want to play.
They're equally interested in sports. Girls are more likely to work on the yearbook. Boys want to smash into each other. We are just different.
So maybe boys do want to smash into each other and girls don't. But girls want to flip around on the floor and girls want to swim back and forth.
When Title IX was passed, men's gymnastics had more than 100 Division I teams.
Yeah.
Today there are just 17. 16 after Cal finishes its last season.
That'll have a huge impact on the success of the USA program.
McNeil, who's now training for the Olympics, says Title IX will kill the U.S. Olympic program.
Men's gymnastics programs can have a max of 6.3 scholarships. Women can have 12. Women do 4 events, men do 6 events. How can any person look at that and say, yeah, that's fair?
It isn't fair. It's just one of many unintended consequences of Title IX.
It tries to create equal opportunities for men and women. What it ends up doing is lessening the opportunities for men.
Continuing our countdown, now promise number 7. If politicians take your money and use it to build fancy stadiums like this one to host big events, that'll boost the economy. It's why America fought to get the Olympics.
The Olympic Games brought hundreds of thousands of tourists to China. It's a reason cities bend over backwards to get the next Olympics.
We want these games.
The president wanted the Olympics in his hometown so much that he and his wife personally campaigned for it.
I never dreamed that the Olympic flame might one day light up lives in my neighborhood.
Rio de Janeiro.
But they lost. Brazil won. This cheering suggests that America missed out. After all, Olympic boosters always say
the Olympic Games, have the ability singularly to transform an entire nation and a city.
The job, contracts, and opportunity.
Thousands and thousands of construction jobs.
But economist J.C. Bradbury says most of that construction ends up as waste.
In China, they built the Bird's Nest Stadium, which was a beautiful architectural feat. There's no need for it anymore. It sits virtually empty.
People remember the big crowds. They're less likely to remember the waste.
They always tell me this will be good.
Oh, it's going to put us on the map. We're going to have people coming from out of town spending their money, and then we're going to take that money and spend it and spread the wealth around.
Do they ever live up to their promises?
Never.
But politicians repeatedly claim building lavish new stadiums, like this one planned for Miami, will provide economic stimulus, unleash thousands of jobs, revitalize the economy.
Build it and they will come.
Always it sounds good, and the prognosticators are always predicting this is going to be hundreds of millions of dollars in benefits. The only problem is when economists go back and look at what actually happened, the benefits aren't there.
One reason is that stadiums are not in use most of the year. Baseball teams have only 81 home games. Basketball teams just 41. Football just 8.
But they do other things in those stadiums.
Oh, yeah, you want to say maybe there are a few concerts, there are a few festivals here and there. Again, okay, let's say you're having 100 events there. Still, that's basically a third of the year you're only having it open.
Yes, on game day, stadiums do provide jobs for people like ushers and stadium food vendors.
Hey, beer guy!
But those are just the seen benefits.
The unseen cost is that those people would otherwise be spending their money elsewhere in the local communities. At the local bar, there's one less bartender. There was one less waitress hired at another restaurant. A movie theater that had one less theater full. It's handing money from your right hand to your left and declaring, I'm rich.
You can't see the person who doesn't get hired.
Absolutely. It's the classic seen versus the unseen. And we're always going to favor the seen.
The unseen, like the grocery store, doesn't have a politician in its pocket.
The grocery store isn't asking for big subsidies from government. We're taking from people we patronize every day and asking them to pay more to subsidize an already wealthy baseball team owner or football team owner.
So what do you do when the team says, we're going to leave?
Do what San Francisco did. When the Giants said, we're going to leave if you don't build us a new stadium, the city said, we're not going to do it. The owner realized, okay, you got me, I'll build a stadium for you. They don't need government welfare to help build these things for them. Let them do it.
The latest event that was supposed to revitalize the city was the G20.
Everybody say cheese.
Leaders and bureaucrats from 20 nations come together in one city to talk about the economy. When they chose Pittsburgh, the mayor was excited.
They see our beautiful skyline, they see our great three rivers.
Senator Bob Casey told residents the event would be an economic boon. Local businesses were told G20 would bring in thousands of visitors.
Patrick, you're all set.
Tim Tobich and Megan Lindsay own Franctuary, a hot dog shop that stayed open late for those thousands of new customers. But they never came.
It was just completely dead. Nobody was here.
Certainly the fewest customers we've ever had.
I thought it was going to be a good thing at first, even though I'd like to think I should know better.
So where were all those guests the city promised? Oh, here are some.
Move out of the street.
1,000 state troopers.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly.
No one sees a tank and thinks, oh, I'll go downtown for lunch.
Next year's G20 will be in Cannes, France. Good luck to them.
Next, Uncle Sam wants to help you buy some of these. When we come back, I'll explain. Want to get rich? Uncle Sam will give you a break on one of these.
That's Politician's Promise Gone Wrong number 6.
We have got to support and strengthen family-based agriculture.
Supporting family-based agriculture is the good intention. And America's sure doing that.
Ready, big man? Come on.
In New Jersey, the most densely populated state, Rose Mogerman raises alpacas.
I'll be honest, the reason I got in, I was looking for a tax shelter.
So was this woman.
The tax benefits are great.
There are so many tax benefits for livestock breeding, and alpacas are relatively easy to raise, that one website even advertises, have Uncle Sam help you buy your alpacas.
Have Uncle Sam
help buy your alpacas.
So who ends up paying for your alpacas? Uncle Sam.
Lots of people are getting in on it.
I had tractors and stuff that I always played with, but I could never write it off. But after purchasing the alpacas, all my toys all of a sudden became tax write-offs.
The Alpaca Breeders Association asked its members, on a scale of 1 to 10, what motivated you to buy? More than half rated tax benefits a 10.
We got into it for the tax reasons.
They may call themselves farmers, but they sound like accountants.
Take a Section 179 deduction.
Depreciated over 5 to 7 years.
There's something called CAUV.
Alpacas are also valued for their fleece.
Excellent gray fleece.
But selling fleece doesn't explain the growth in alpaca raising. 25 years ago, there were 150 in America. Now there are 150,000.
So, 10,000.
She has a pedigree that is solid gray.
At alpaca auctions, prices have gotten high.
It's only money. Don't be so uptight about it.
Just recently, an animal sold at auction for over $600,000.
Wow. But this is not necessarily a good thing.
Do you have someplace else to go?
This llama may not like me talking about this, but economists at the University of California, Davis warn the industry is a bubble. Government's good at creating bubbles. Last year, I reported how Congress's ridiculous tax credits created a bubble in golf cart sales.
It is endless, the possibilities that this bill will pursue, encouraging energy-efficient products such as plug-in hybrid cars.
Unfortunately, the plugs are connected to coal plants. The National Research Council says electric cars may be worse for the environment. No matter.
The jobs that are going to be created.
This car dealer advertised free electric cars. Buy one for $6,000 and take the $6,000 tax credit. Governor Mike Huckabee got one. A friend of his got 7. Well, I got this one. Totally free.
Free for me anyway. You taxpayers paid for it.
The deal sure helped the golf cart industry. My dealers sold 10,000 carts. At least the golf cart credit expired, but most government giveaways don't.
I fell in love with them.
But first you fell in love with the tax break.
Yes, I have to be honest. I might have had 2. I wouldn't have had 100.
Next, have you got some of these in your wallet? Be careful, I hear those evil credit card companies want to rip us off. But don't worry, government says it will stop credit card abuse. That's promise gone wrong number 5.
Enough's enough. It's time for strong, reliable protections for our consumers.
Protection. Finally. Congress passed the Card Act and a new bureaucracy that will stop credit card companies from unfairly penalizing you. And it won't threaten the credit business.
Unless your business model depends on cutting corners or bilking your customers, you've got nothing to fear from reform.
Yes, you do, say economists like Todd Zwicky. Once credit card companies couldn't penalize late payers.
They simply raised interest rates across the board for everybody.
Credit card interest rose from 13% to nearly 15%. Mortgage rates actually dropped a little. So did Treasury bill rates. But credit card interest went up. Also, banks stopped offering credit to some people. J.P. Morgan Chase cut off 15% of its customers.
Hundreds of thousands of people can't get cards who used to be able to have cards, and all the rest of us now have to pay more for credit.
Maybe they're better off not having credit because they couldn't handle it.
Just to say that they don't have a credit card doesn't mean that they don't have credit.
They'll just go to more expensive places.
You're going to go to the local payday lender or the local pawn shop to get the money that you need.
And really get ripped off.
And how much did you want to loan today?
Payday lenders are businesses that make small, short-term loans, often just till payday.
A bill came in and it was a little higher than I anticipated.
I borrowed $250. That was good for me.
But the annual interest, this place posted clearly 521%. Some places charge more.
800% interest is legal?
Maybe not once consumer protectors get Congress to ban those abusive payday loans. But what elites call abuse, some consumers call a way out.
I know people say predatory lending, blah, 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 high interest rate, but if you have an emergency.
For many people, payday lenders are the only way they can avoid missing a bill payment.
It's not just a matter sometimes of saving money, it's a matter of saving yourself grief.
Why don't they get a credit card? Oh, I forgot. These men made that tougher.
Every time I apply, they turn me down.
People who have limited choices when it comes to credit are not likely to have their situations improved by taking away some of those limited options that they have.
The political class promised to fix credit card penalties, but the penalties equal less than 7% of banks' earnings. Banks make much more charging interest. Politicians say they rip us off there too.
If they could get away with charging you 100% interest, they would.
Certainly they would. The problem is they can't. This is one of the most competitive markets in America. I've got 4 credit cards in my wallet. As I sit here talking to you, my credit cards are competing for my business. If one credit card tries to rip me off or charge me too much, or even if they don't talk to me nice on the phone, I'll switch to another credit card.
And caps on rates have unintended effects. Arkansas once capped interest at 10%.
Very few people could get a credit card in Arkansas as a result. Arkansas is also known as the pawn shop capital of America.
Pawn shop interest is often 250%.
In the 1960s, the second biggest revenue source of organized crime was illegal lending. Is that the world we want to go back to, where we get rid of payday lending and we're so morally outraged that we're going to put people in the hands of the leg breakers and the loan sharks? They charged an interest rate that was well over 1,000%, and their collection techniques are a lot tougher than your local pawn shops.
Now, promise gone wrong number 4. Government will give everyone health insurance, but for less money. That was a big one.
This was the triumphant signing ceremony. And then they gave the speaker a birthday celebration. Look at the big smiles. They were thrilled that their Affordable Care Act would give insurance to many more people for less money.
Can you imagine a more important birthday privilege than to be signing health care for all?